The Sikh Empire was a state originating in the Indian subcontinent, formed under the leadership of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who established an empire based in the Punjab. The empire existed from 1799, when Maharaja Ranjit Singh captured Lahore, to 1849 and was forged on the foundations of the Khalsa from a collection of autonomous Sikh misls. At its peak in the 19th century, the empire extended from the Khyber Pass in the west to western Tibet in the east, and from Mithankot in the south to Kashmir in the north. Religiously diverse, with an estimated population of 3.5 million in 1831, it was the last major region of the Indian subcontinent to be annexed by the British Empire. The foundations of the Sikh Empire can be traced to as early as 1707, the year of Aurangzeb's death and the start of the downfall of the Mughal Empire. With the Mughals significantly weakened, the Sikh Army, known as the Dal Khalsa, a rearrangement of the Khalsa inaugurated by Guru Gobind Singh, led expeditions against them and the Afghans in the west. This led to a growth of the army which split into different confederacies or semi-independent misls. Each of these component armies controlled different areas and cities. However, in the period from 1762 to 1799, Sikh commanders of the misls appeared to be coming into their own as independent warlords. The formation of the empire began with the capture of Lahore, by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, from its Afghan ruler, Zaman Shah Durrani, and the subsequent and progressive expulsion of Afghans from the Punjab, by defeating them in the Afghan-Sikh Wars, and the unification of the separate Sikh misls. Ranjit Singh was proclaimed as Maharaja of the Punjab on April 12, 1801, creating a unified political state. Sahib Singh Bedi, a descendant of Guru Nanak, conducted the coronation. Ranjit Singh rose to power in a very short period, from a leader of a single misl to finally becoming the Maharaja of Punjab. He began to modernize his army, using the latest training as well as weapons and artillery. After the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the empire was weakened by internal divisions and political mismanagement. Finally, by 1849 the state was dissolved after the defeat in the Anglo-Sikh Wars. The Sikh Empire was divided into 4 provinces: Lahore, in Punjab, which became the Sikh capital, Multan, also in Punjab, Peshawar and Kashmir from 1799 to 1849. Background: Mughal rule of Punjab. The Sikh religion began around the time of the conquest of northern Indian subcontinent by Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire. His conquering grandson, Mughal Emperor Akbar, supported religious freedom and after visiting the Langar of Guru Amar Das got a favorable impression of Sikhism. As a result of his visit he donated land to the Langar and the Mughals did not have any conflict with Sikh gurus until his death in 1605. His successor Jahangir, however, saw the Sikhs as a political threat. He ordered Guru Arjan Dev, who had been arrested for supporting the rebellious Khusro Mirza, to change the passage about Islam in the Adi Granth. When the Guru refused, Jahangir ordered him to be put to death by torture. Guru Arjan Dev's martyrdom led to the 6th Guru, Guru Hargobind, declaring Sikh sovereignty and the creation of the Akal Takht and the establishment of a fort to defend Amritsar. Jahangir attempted to assert authority over the Sikhs by jailing Guru Hargobind at Gwalior, but released him after a number of years when he no longer felt threatened. The Sikh community did not have any further issues with the Mughal Empire until the death of Jahangir in 1627. The succeeding son of Jahangir, Shah Jahan, took offense at Guru Hargobind's sovereignty and after a series of assaults on Amritsar forced the Sikhs to retreat to the Shivalik hills. The next Guru, Guru Har Rai, maintained the guruship in these hills by defeating local attempts to seize Sikh land and playing a neutral role in the power struggle between 2 of the sons of Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, and Dara Shikoh, for control of the Mughal Empire. The 9th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur, moved the Sikh community to Anandpur and travelled extensively to visit and preach in defiance of Aurangzeb, who attempted to install Ram Rai as new Guru. Guru Tegh Bahadur aided Kashmiri Pandits in avoiding conversion to Islam and was arrested by Aurangzeb. When offered a choice between conversion to Islam and death, he chose to die rather than compromise his principles and was executed. Formation of the Khalsa. Guru Gobind Singh assumed the guruship in 1675 and to avoid battles with Shivalik Hill Rajas moved the guruship to Paunta. There he built a large fort to protect the city and garrisoned an army to protect it. The growing power of the Sikh community alarmed the Shivalik Hill Rajas who attempted to attack the city, but Guru Gobind Singh's forces routed them at the Battle of Bangani. He moved on to Anandpur and established the Khalsa, a collective army of baptized Sikhs, on March 30, 1699. The establishment of the Khalsa united the Sikh community against various Mughal-backed claimants to the Guruship. In 1701, a combined army of the Shivalik Hill Rajas and the Mughals under Wazir Khan attacked Anandpur. The Khalsa retreated but regrouped to defeat the Mughals at the Battle of Muxar. In 1707, Guru Gobind Singh accepted an invitation by Aurangzeb's successor Bahadur Shah I to meet him. The meeting took place at Agra on July 23, 1707. Banda Singh Bahadur. In August 1708, Guru Gobind Singh visited Nanded. There he met a Bairagi recluse, Madho Das, who converted to Sikhism, rechristened as Banda Singh Bahadur. A short time before his death, Guru Gobind Singh ordered him to reconquer Punjab region and gave him a letter that commanded all Sikhs to join him. After 2 years of gaining supporters, Banda Singh Bahadur initiated an agrarian uprising by breaking up the large estates of zamindar families and distributing the land to the poor peasants who farmed the land. Banda Singh Bahadur started his rebellion with the defeat of Mughal armies at Samana and Sadhora, and the rebellion culminated in the defeat of Sirhind. During the rebellion, Banda Singh Bahadur made a point of destroying the cities in which Mughals had been cruel to the supporters of Guru Gobind Singh. He executed Wazir Khan in revenge for the deaths of Guru Gobind Singh's sons and Pir Budhu Shah after the Sikh victory at Sirhind. He ruled the territory between the Sutlej River and the Yamuna River, established a capital in the Himalayas at Logar, and struck coinage in the names of Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh. In 1716, his army was defeated by the Mughals after he attempted to defend his fort at Gurdas Nangal. He was captured along with 700 of his men and sent to Delhi, where they were all tortured and executed after refusing to convert to Islam. Dal Khalsa period. Sikh Confederacy. The period from 1716 to 1799 was a highly turbulent time politically and militarily in the Punjab region. This was caused by the overall decline of the Mughal Empire that left a power vacuum in the region that was eventually filled by the Sikhs of the Dal Khalsa, meaning Khalsa Army or Khalsa Party, in the late 18th century, after defeating several invasions by the Afghan rulers of the Durrani Empire and their allies, remnants of the Mughals and their administrators, the Mughal-allied Hindu hill Rajas of the Shivalik Hills, and hostile local Muslims siding with other Muslim forces. The Sikhs of the Dal Khalsa eventually formed their own independent Sikh administrative regions, misls, derived from a Perso-Arabic term meaning similar, headed by misladars. These misls were united in large part by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, Sikh Sutlej States. The Sikh Sutlej States were a group of Sikh states in the Punjab region lying between the Sutlej River to the north, the Himalayas to the east, the Yamuna River and Delhi district to the south, and Sirsa district to the west. These states fell under the suzerainty of the Maratha Empire after 1785 before the Second Anglo-Maratha War of 1803 to 1805, after which the Marathas lost control of the territory to the British East India Company. The Sikh Sutlej states included Khalsia, Kaital, Patiala State, Napa State, Jean State, Thanesar, Malarkotla, Ludhiana, Kapurthala State, Ambala, Firozpur, and Faridkot State, among others. While these Sikh states had been set up by the Dal Khalsa, they did not become part of the Sikh Empire, and there was a mutual ban on warfare following the Treaty of Amritsar in 1809, following attempts by Ranjit Singh to wrest control of these states from the British between 1806 and 1809. The Sikh crossing of the Sutlej, following British militarization of the border with Punjab, and plans on using the newly conquered territory of Sindh as a springboard to advance on the Sikh-held region of Multan, would eventually result in conflict with the British. Intra-Missile Wars. After the reign of Jassa Singh Ramgarhia, the Sikh misls became divided and fought each other. A sort of Cold War broke out with the Bangi, Nakai, Dalawala and Rayamaria misls versus Sukrachakia, Aluwalia, Kar Singhiya, and Kaniyeha. The Shaidan, Nishanaya and Singpuriya also allied but did not engage in warfare with the others and continued the Dal Khalsa. The Fulkian misl was excommunicated from the Confederacy. Rani Sada Kaur of the Kanhiya misl rose in the vacuum and destroyed the power of the Bangis. She later gave her throne to Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Empire. The formal start of the Sikh Empire began with the unification of the misls by 1801, creating a unified political state. All the misl leaders, who were affiliated with the army, were the nobility with usually long and prestigious family backgrounds in Sikh history. The main geographical footprint of the empire was from the Punjab region to Khyber Pass in the west, to Kashmir in the north, Sindh in the south, and Tibet in the east. In 1799 Ranjit Singh moved the capital to Lahore from Gujranwala, where it had been established in 1763 by his grandfather, Charat Singh. Hari Singh Nalwa was commander-in-chief of the Sikh Khalsa army from 1825 to 1837. He is known for his role in the conquests of Kasur, Sialkot, Multan, Kashmir, Adak, and Peshawar. Nalwa led the Sikh army in freeing Shah Shuja from Kashmir and secured the Koh-i-Noor diamond for Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He served as governor of Kashmir and Hazara and established a mint on behalf of the Sikh Empire to facilitate revenue collection. His frontier policy of holding the Khyber Pass was later used by the British Raj. Nalwa was responsible for expanding the frontier of Sikh Empire to the Indus River. At the time of his death, the western boundary of the Sikh Empire was the Khyber Pass. Demographics. The religious demography of the empire is estimated to have been just over 10% to 12% Sikh, 80% Muslim, and just under 10% Hindu. Surjit Hans gave different numbers by retrospectively projecting the 1881 census, putting Muslims at 51%, Hindus at 40% and Sikhs at around 8%, the remaining 1% being Europeans. The population was 3.5 million in 1831, according to Amarinder Singh's The Last Sunset, The Rise and Fall of the Lahore Durbar. An estimated 90% of the Sikh population at the time, and more than half of the total population, was concentrated in the Upper Bari, Jalandhar, and Upper Rechna Doabs, and in the areas of their greatest concentration formed about one-third of the population in the 1830s. Half of the Sikh population of this core region was in the area covered by the later districts of Lahore and Amritsar. Decline. After Ranjit Singh's death in 1839, the empire was severely weakened by internal divisions and political mismanagement and by the betrayal of Dogras. This opportunity was used by the British East India Company to launch the Anglo-Sikh Wars. The Battle of Ferocia in 1845 marked many turning points. The British encountered the Punjab army, opening with a gun duel in which the Sikhs had the better of the British artillery. As the British made advances, Europeans in their army were specially targeted, as the Sikhs believed if the army became demoralized, the backbone of the enemy's position would be broken. The fighting continued throughout the night. The British position grew graver as the night wore on, and suffered terrible casualties with every single member of the Governor-General's staff either killed or wounded. Nevertheless, the British Army took and held Ferocia. British General Sir James Hope Grant recorded, "Truly the night was one of gloom and forbidding, and perhaps never in the annals of warfare has a British army on such a large scale been nearer to a defeat which would have involved annihilation." The reasons for the withdrawal of the Sikhs from Ferocia are contentious. Some believe that it was treachery of the non-Sikh high command of their own army which led to them marching away from a British force in a precarious and battered state. Others believe that a tactical withdrawal was the best policy. The Sikh Empire was finally dissolved at the end of the Second Anglo-Sikh War in 1849 into separate princely states and the British province of Punjab. Eventually, a lieutenant governorship was formed in Lahore as a direct representative of the British Crown.